Helping you win the water cooler wars, Thom Hartmann here with you. And Dan Gainor, speaking of the water cooler wars, one of my favorite warriors. Dan Gainor, the Vice President and T. Boone Pickens Free Market Fellow at the Business and Media Institute. Businessandmedia.org is the website. Dan, welcome.
Oh, it's a pleasure. At least we're sort of getting our technology right. You've got me in my home, but the headset's still not working.
Ah, well, but we can see you and we can hear you, so I think that's a good first step. Dan, the Democrats are planning, if the news reports are correct, and I believe they are, and this is a strategy that, as you well know, when the Republicans controlled the House and Senate, they constantly did to Democrats, which is force them to vote on something that puts them on the record that can then be used against them in upcoming elections. The Democrats are planning to have a vote on a resolution that would basically call out Congressman Paul Ryan's plan to cut benefits under Social Security and George Bush's. And not to make this about Bush, because this isn't him. I mean, the Republican Party since 1937 has had at the forefront of its list of things to do to privatize Social Security. And the Democrats are putting forward this resolution to say, no, we're not going to do that, and just get the Republicans on record. Seems like a good idea to me.
Well, I can get people on record, but we might as well be having this conversation as sort of your Halloween plan, because it's just designed to scare people. It's not actually something going to happen. When the Republicans had both houses of Congress and the president, they couldn't get this done. So it's not going to happen.
Then why do they keep talking about it?
Why do they keep talking about it? Because we have an incredible entitlement problem. It's just a crisis looming. Combination of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
Well, Reagan did something about it. He doubled taxes on working people.
But here we are, still we have the problem.
Yeah, well, if we were to raise taxes on rich people, it would solve that problem. If we lifted the cap,
you're talking about a temporary fix for something that's a major long-term problem.
Actually, do the math, Dan. It would fix it forever.
Why else do you think that a combination of Brookings and Cato and Concord Coalition are working together, going around the country talking about this entitlement problem?
Because Cato wants to see Social Security privatized. They're explicit about that. We've had a number of their people on this program.
What about Brookings, which is certainly by no means a right.
Brookings is acknowledging that there's a problem, and I think that they got dragged into this. And what was the third one you mentioned?
Concord, which is
Concord Coalition is another right-wing think tank that thinks that. Why do you let's just cut right to the heart of it. Why do you and the Republican Party and go back to before you and I were born? Why do you and the Republican Party advocate blowing up a pension system that is providing right now the primary retirement benefits for about 8 in 10 Americans, elderly Americans, that is providing about a third of their total benefits are literally going to widows, orphans, and disabled people? Why do you want to blow that up?
It's not what it's supposed to do. The original plan, the whole idea of this thing was to be a supplement. Social Security, supplemental income. That's what it's supposed to be. But what's happened is it's morphed, like most government plans do, it's morphed into a mega bureaucracy. And people.
No, it's become what is needed.
No, it hasn't become what it is because a lot of people want out. If you look even at...
Well, there's some rich people who would rather not pay Social Security taxes on the first $100,000 of their income. I'll grant you that.
Problems recently. Studies still go out, polls still go out and show that the majority of younger people want out because they look and see.
That's because they believe your propaganda. Frankly, no offense, but that Social Security isn't going to be there for them when they get older, and it will be if we simply lift the cap so that Bill Gates pays the same percentage of his income as you and me.
Well, for one thing, then that ends up being because Bill Gates will never collect that.
Fine. So what?
You called a tax. It is a tax. This is not an insurance plan. Everybody keeps calling it, it's an insurance plan. This is a tax. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, it has to function as a tax to be constitutional, but it is a national pension plan and an insurance plan against old age poverty, or against an insurance plan against things like my friend Michael Hutchison in San Francisco fell and broke his neck. He's a quadriplegic. He's living on Social Security. And what's he supposed to do? He's got nothing to, you want to throw him in the private marketplace? He's got no money.
There's still some counties in Texas that back when Social Security was started that never joined. They've done better. If you look,
better than what?
Better than Social Security by percentage growth rate of their money. They still have done better.
What are you talking about? A couple of counties where some oil millionaires live?
No, we're ordinary government employees. You go back when Social Security was first forced it on people. Some counties actually backed out of this. The whole idea is
but they were still taxing themselves, Dan, and they were still putting money into pensions, into long-term pensions. And what they're not doing is a third of their money, which is a third of Social Security. A third of their money is not going to pay for widows, orphans, and disabled people who, in many cases, never paid into the program. So I would say that that's a profoundly unfair kind of couple of counties, very selfish, and B, a lousy argument against Social Security. We got a minute, by the way.
This is a Ponzi scheme.
It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's an insurance plan, unless all insurance plans are Ponzi schemes.
5 employees supported one worker. Now, one retired worker. Now it's down to 3. Soon it's going to be down to 2. Then it's going to be 1-to-1.
Except that the boomers are double taxed. That double tax is going to end in about 15 or 20 years. The boomer from 83, when the Reagan put the commission together, until now, we're the only generation, people who are currently in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, we're the only generation that not only paid for the retirement of our parents and grandparents, but is also paying for our own retirement. And that's going to end.
Getting hit with the fact that Social Security is going to run a deficit this year and next year, probably.
It is supposed to. That's why there's a trust fund to draw on.
It's on the trust fund. We borrowed against ourselves.
But with we invested. We didn't borrow. We invested. We bought Treasury notes that pay interest.
But I mean, we borrowed against government. We're the government.
And that money comes back, but it comes back with interest.
It's not playing word games with money. I mean, the reality is, the government borrowed from the government.
Okay, Dan Gainor, businessandmedia.org. Dan, always great sparring with you.
Thanks.